Has your emails ever landed in the spam box that you know of, or you've been marked as spam, or maybe even your emails never made it to the inbox whatsoever? Well, today I'm going to talk about ways that you can set yourself up for success right away, and some things you can look for if you've already been emailing your list and you're worried about getting sent to spam.
Nameless, I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story.
If you don't know who I am, my name is Josh, and I am a certified digital marketing specialist. I actually help people with email marketing, affiliate marketing, and automation. And I am here today to talk to you about email deliverability, the big elephant in the room when it comes to emails. And email marketing, even though there's a lot of hype out there talking about how email's dead, it is still the primary method of communication for most businesses all over the world. But let's talk about how email deliverability works. So you have two players on each side of the game. You have the ISPs, which is your mailbox provider, right? So you've got those as the kind of basis of the receiving end of the emails. That's your Gmail, your Yahoo, your AOL, that kind of stuff. Yes, AOL does still exist.
Wow.
With all of those, Gmail is not only the primary mailbox provider at this point, but it is also the hardest to get into the inbox. With a lot of the extra filters and everything like that going on with Gmail, the promotions and the updates and the socials and everything they have with all those labels, it's really difficult to see those land in a primary inbox. And so doing some of these tips are going to help you with that. Now then there's the ESP, that's the email service provider. Those are people like MailerLite, GetResponse, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign. Those are your providers that you're using to send your emails out. This is who services the emails and who you really actually want to understand who that you're using, because some are not like the others. And so there's a couple things that you can ask, and I'll go over that here in a second, but let's talk about the big things that you're going to be scored on. So the big one is like your sender score, your IP reputation. That's a huge thing that is actually being monitored in your email deliverability, because they want to know how good of a person are you? How good of a marketer are you? Not in how good you are with your content, but do people perceive you well? Do they mark your emails as spam more often? Or are they moving it to the primary inbox? Are they replying? And so this is really affected by mostly the people that are marking you as spam, as well as emails that are bouncing.
What?
So what are bounces, right? You hear that term go around. What is that? So there's a soft bounce and there's a hard bounce. A soft bounce is basically when you get someone who's like a full mailbox, or whatever the case may be, that the email just couldn't be delivered into their mailbox. That's a soft bounce. Now a hard bounce would be maybe that an email is no longer in use, or the email has been marked on a blacklist, so you can't put them on your list. And so that kind of looks as a negative mark against you when you receive a hard bounce. A soft bounce, a lot of times it will just kind of, it'll stay on your list and you can email them again, because who knows, maybe they just didn't clean out their inbox and they're just full of space. Now, you heard me use the term blacklist. So a blacklist is when you've done enough bad things with your email that a service has blacklisted you from their domain, and now you get placed on a blacklist. Now, if I remember correctly, I think there's something like 330 some odd blacklists that can be checked. I will have a link in the description of a tool that you can use to check your domain against a blacklist. It's free. It's called MX Toolbox. I'm not a paid promotion for them. I just use that tool all the time, and I love it because you can check multiple different things about your emails and be able to track some of that. And so definitely check that out if you're curious. Most of the time you're not going to be on a blacklist, but if it does happen, you've got some work to do to try to get off of there.
Okay.
If you've ever been around any sort of email marketing, you've probably heard things like warming up your domain or warming up your list. And this is really true on really one occasion. If you are a small business, or you are a power user of email marketing, or maybe you're helping a company with their email marketing, And if they have a dedicated IP address, now I know that's a technical term, but your IP address is basically the string of numbers that your emails get sent from. If it's dedicated to that domain or to that company, this is where, yes, you do want to warm up a domain. Now, what does warming up a domain mean? That means that you're sending good emails to a small chunk of people, usually to people that you know or to people that have signed up on your list. And you want to send them great content so that way they open the emails and they don't mark you as spam. And you're basically training the ISPs to know that you are a good sender. Now, this can really be a problem if you have done anything bad with the email list, or maybe you have a list that you've brought over to a new email provider and you're trying to use that same list and there's a lot of bad emails on there. It can really just put you in the negative right away. So dedicated IPs, you definitely want to warm up your email list and warm up your domain so that way you don't get sent to spam right away. The thing is most marketers these days are using companies like MailerLite, GetResponse, things like that, where they're using shared IP addresses. Now, this can be good and bad. On one hand, if you have a shared IP address, there could be people in that shared IP that are just bad senders. And so it kind of looks bad in terms of the sender score of the IP address. And you might have people that are doing naughty things. I like the word naughty. Naughty. So you could be doing some naughty things and it could make it bad for you because that IP score comes across as either medium or low in terms of the actual scoring. Because there's basically bad, low, medium, and high. And so if you're not hitting the high one and you're on a shared IP, that's not really that bad. You just don't want to see it come across as bad all the time. Now, that's only one side of the coin. On the flip side of it, using a shared IP could be really good for you because of the fact that you don't have to warm up your domain or warm up the IP. Your domain, yes, you want to make sure that you're doing good things with that, but the IP addresses associated with it could help you out without you having to worry about going into the spam box too much. That allows you to get started so fast so that way you don't have to worry about doing these little onesies and twosies and things like that. So that's some things to think about right away. So what can you do initially from a technical standpoint to make sure you're hitting the inbox as much as possible? And that's setting up all of your email authentication. Now, this is going to be a little technical, so bear with me, but we're going to talk about some technical terms. So first, we're going to talk about a term called SPF, or Sender Policy Framework. Now, this is actually a special format that is set up to show the allowed list of domains that can send email on your behalf, and it also helps prevent spoofing. And so what that does is it tells the email mailbox providers that you're a trusted sender. And so as long as that domain that's in your SPF record is listed and that's the one that it got sent from, then you're going to be good. It's going to allow you to send that email. They're going to see that it matches up and everything's set to go.
Oh, cool.
The next one is DKIM. That is Domain Keys Identified Mail. Now, what this is also to help protect against spoofing and somebody reusing your email for malicious reasons, but it also authenticates the email. So then that way it allows you to basically claim responsibility for that domain and for those emails going out. So in the event that bad things happen, well, they know it's you. But if you're doing good things and then somebody else tries to spoof your email or do some sort of phishing attack using an email that's similar to yours, they're going to notice that it's not authenticated with the same key, and that's going to protect you, but then kick the other person to spam or even blacklist their email. And it also allows them to pick apart which ones are legit and which ones aren't, and they can blacklist the ones or even quarantine them or reject them, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Okay.
So DMARC. This is where we can talk about like quarantining or rejecting. There's a policy you can set in the DMARC that you can actually do that. Now, I do help people set these things up. So if this is something that you really want some assistance with, I'm going to have a link down below to, yes, a Fiverr gig of what I do for email deliverability setup or even auditing. And if you already have everything set up and you want somebody to audit for you, I can be your guy for that. If you need someone to help you set it up, I can also do that. So there's a link down there of the services that I provide through Fiverr, and check it out. You never know what services might be useful for you there. But either way, back to DMARC. So DMARC is domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance. Oh, that's a mouthful. I'm going to repeat that again. Domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance. Basically, it's a way to give receivers of email better judgment on what they should do with your email. And this is where I talked about the reject or quarantine, right? That's going to give the mailbox provider an idea of, are you passing your own authentication policies? Now, it's great to have DMARC set up, because if you're passing DMARC, whether it's DKIM or SPF, and you'll specify that either one or both in your policy, what it tells them is that you're basically saying, I give you authority to cross-reference this information with all of my other information and validate that it's legit before you actually send my email to the inbox.
Whoa!
I know it sounds scary, right? Because it could potentially block you, but if you have everything set up right, you have nothing to worry about. And it actually will go on either DKIM or SPF. So you don't have to have both that align right away if you wanted to set this up. Like, you could have SPF that doesn't align, but then DKIM aligns and it'll still pass and your email will still go through. That's why this is important, because if you don't have this set up and one of those other ones fail, you don't get to choose which one they fail it on. So DMARC is great to be able to essentially let the mailbox provider make a judgment call based on your reputation and based on whether you're doing DKIM, SPF, or even both as far as your authentication goes.
Whoa! Whoa, this is breakthrough stuff.
Now, there is an optional one out here called BIMI. It's BIMI. It's called Brand Indicators for Message Identification. It's optional because there's a lot of setup that happens. You have to pay for a certificate. It's called a VMC. You have to actually go to like a DigiCert or something like that to actually get a real certificate for your image to prove that it's yours. You have to trademark it, all this extra stuff. For people that are solopreneurs, if you're an affiliate marketer or an email marketer or you're a digital marketing agency, this might not be worth the work to do. But if you're a small business that you are really trying to push your brand and you want to make sure nobody else can mistake your brand, basically what this does is it allows you to put a little image next to your email when it goes in the inbox. It's super cool. You've probably seen it with brands. I know I see it with Best Buy. The little Best Buy logo shows up there on the emails. It's just another way for them to identify that it's actually you. Okay, so now that we're done with all the technical stuff, let's go into how you can do some practical things to improve your email deliverability and actually make it easier for you to hit the inbox and keep your list clean. So number one is, don't buy email lists. Don't do it ever. Don't go, if someone says, hey, I got 5,000 emails and you pay me $100 and I'll give you all of them. Don't do that, because you don't know that those emails are actually legit. This will severely hurt you for two reasons. Number one, a lot of it's usually bot traffic, not B-O-U-H-T, but B-O-T, like robots. Because a lot of time these lists are just spammy things that are sent out across the board, and they're sent to all these different weird blogs and websites and things like that, and they're just scraping emails off of stuff and whatever the case that they're doing, and they're putting this list together and reselling it out to other people. Just not a good thing to do. Not only that, but they're probably reselling this list multiple times. So you're probably going to get into things where you're going to have duplicated emails like a lot of other people have. Some of these might even be emails that marked other emails as spam, and they're more notorious to mark you as spam because they're getting inundated with all these people. But there's also things called spam traps, where they might be unused email addresses that are left in a list, and you end up basically sending email to one of those when the email mailbox providers know that that's a closed email. Or even the ESPs, right? The service providers, they know that it's no longer a working email, and that's a huge negative mark on your sender score, because They look at you as, hey, you willingly put this information in there knowing that that email shouldn't work. You didn't actually get an opt-in. You just put this in there from somebody else. Bad juju. Don't do that. Just it's not going to do you any good, right?
Oh, now I see. Now I get it.
So on that note, only send to people that you know or who have opted into your information. Now, I know some people say, well, I can't just take my friend's email and just go put it in there. Well, sure you could. Let me tell you why. Do you think your friend's going to mark your email as spam? Probably not. They're going to go, hey, did you put my email on your list? You might go, oh, shoot, sorry, yeah. It's going to be a personal conversation. They're not just going to go, Josh put me on his list and mark you as spam. It's just not going to happen, right? But here's ways, just real quick, how you could get leads to your list. You can market your brand. That can be any number of ways. That can be billboards. That can be business cards. That can be whatever, and send them to a place where they can go opt in. You could do ads. You could have links on your social media that go to opt-in forms. Now, here's something that I've used before. Be careful with this, but you could do solo ads. Solo ads are nice because they are real people, right? They're most of them are real people that click these links, but a lot of them have learned to start using fake email addresses to get on there. So if they're not really interested in what you have, they're just clicking a link on somebody's email blast. It might not be safe to do that, but it's still a method to build a list. And as far as your website, I talked about sending people to your website. You might want to look at sending them to a place on your website, like your main page, that's optimized to collect the leads. That could be a button, that could be a form, that could be a pop-up, like an exit modal. When they go to move their mouse off the screen, it pops up and it's like, oh, hey, here you go. That's something that you could totally do. Another couple tips you could do here, you could delete role addresses and customer service addresses. So role addresses being like info at, support at, connect at, contact at. Any of those are things that you could get rid of your list. Now, what's really cool is I've been testing MailerLite recently, and they actually do this automatically. They don't make you go filter through that. They'll see that it's role-based, and they're just like, nope, I'm not putting that on there for you. So I love that. I love the fact that they do that. Go check for things like do not reply or mailer daemon or support or anything like that. Anything that says customer or customer service. Any of those are going to be good to get rid of because they're just catch-all boxes. They're nobody's checking those and opening emails and looking for information in those. And actually, mailer daemon is something that can be sent back, and you could see that show up on your list if you ever sent an email to like an unsupported email or a non-working email, and the mailer daemon is that email you get back that says unable to be delivered. That's what that is. Another thing here, remove fake emails or one-time use emails. Another easy thing to do, you can check for sequential numbers, check for misspelled domains. So instead of someone saying Gmail, they put like Gmail. So instead of Gmail, they put Gmal or Gmali. Just get rid of those. You don't need those on your list. They're not going to do you any good. Another one is look for things that say like 12345 Bob or 1234567 at. Those are just fake emails. Look for weird characters that don't make sense. So when you see like A34B2C dash whatever, they're just random strings of numbers. So they're not going to be a real email address. The procedural generated stuff, it's not going to work. And the last thing here is always try to ask for personal emails. Personal emails are generally going to get opened more often. So if you're gathering personal emails, there's more of a chance that you're going to end up getting to their inbox and they're going to open it. A lot of times business emails, they have a lot more strict features and filters for spam to catch those things, and they'll most likely mark your email as spam right away. So as far as that goes, I mean, I really wouldn't risk having business emails if you can help it. One of the things you could do is you could ask these people, if you see that they give you a business address, and send them a personal email and say, hey, would it be okay if I added your personal email to my newsletter as well? Sometimes you'll get a yes, sometimes you'll get a no, but that might be worth it for you. And then you could remove their corporate one. So that way you don't get flagged as spam automatically, because a lot of those, I know for me, for my day job, we have very strict junk mail guidelines. And so it goes to that spam folder automatically if it comes from an external source that doesn't look like it's a recognized company affiliated source. So that's just something to think about. Now, all in all, email deliverability, while it seems tricky, these are things that once they're set up, it's done. You know, like the initial stuff like SPF and DKIM and DMARC, once they're done, they're done. You don't have to go back and keep doing it. They don't go away. They don't disappear. The only time they change is if you change something that requires them to change. This is things that you can put in place. You can start using these best practices. You can start making your email marketing better, either from the beginning if you're just starting, or just from now if you've been at it a while, and just start thinking about some of these things. So I'll just recap, like, don't buy email lists, only send to people you know or who opt in, delete any role addresses or customer service addresses, remove fake emails or one-time use emails, and always ask for personal emails if you can. And one bonus tip I'll give you too is ask people to whitelist your email. That's like adding to contacts, or some of them actually say whitelist. That could be another thing that you could do to help get to the inbox, because if you're seen as a contact, it's more likely that you're going to land there. And you could even ask for replies if you want. That'll help out a little bit too. But otherwise, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what things you knew about. Let me know what things were eye-opening to you. And definitely, please go through and clean up your email lists and make it better. It is your business that you want to do this for. This isn't for my benefit. This is for you. But if you need help, as a friendly reminder, I am now offering my services through Fiverr in order to help you with your email marketing. So you can check those out in the description below. My services are down there. And I have a couple of references for some of the stats and things like that I used in my videos.